Hello, Norman.
All right, Gary, how are you?
Hey, nice to finally meet you.
No worries, no worries. Nice to finally meet you. Yeah, sorry about that. I might be. Oh, we're a bit early, which is fine. I hope I'm not bothering you too much at this lovely hour at night. So,
It's all good, man. Yep.
hopefully things are okay. I'm not sure how much Joel, I believe, has told you a bit about the show, but if you would like, since we are a little bit early, and it's not always the talk isn't entirely the hour, so we have a little bit of buffer. I can always tell you a little bit about the show and
Yeah, by all means, man.
a
Yeah.
little bit housekeeping. Um, so first things first, it's a show called Anti-Fool, and the premise is I play the idiot. I ask you questions, and you share not only with me but our audience, the listeners, the answers. Um, and you are the anti-fool, so the source of wisdom. So anything and everything. My main goal is to learn a lot from you. Uh, we've more or less covered the outline from before, so I would love to learn more about yourself and on Microfilm Academy and your thoughts on maybe filming from this point onward. How would it affect the average person wanting to make something? And I guess you do tackle that from many different angles. So it'll be quite exciting to talk about that, of course.
Sure, man.
Awesome. And you're free to swear. You don't have to filter yourself in any way. It's not like a big publication thing. It's a show. And whenever, say, if I hit you with a hard question or you need some time to think, take your time. That's okay, because I can always post edit and lower the pausing, lower the amount. You can take your time. So don't worry about don't force yourself to say as much as you can. You don't have to, just say enough and nothing more. That's okay.
Okay.
And last but not least, it's not an interview. It's more like a chat. So
Sure.
really, I just want to know more about what you're doing because you have a ton of stuff. So it's yeah. Is there anything you would like to know before we get right into it?
No, man, I'm excited. Just so I want to get chatting with different people in different industries, just to see how things are. At the same time, bounce off ideas.
Of course.
While you might be saying that you're learning from me, I think vice versa. That's happening also. So yeah.
Awesome. And always, and you can always ask me questions in between, or even after the chat. And so, if you are ready,
Yep.
just gonna turn off my fan because I'm worried that will create some background noise. I'm sure you get a lot of this problem when you have like background noise. You have to edit a lot of that out, post edits for films.
Yeah.
Wait, what software do you use actually to edit
So
your
we use
film?
we use Adobe like Premiere
Okay.
and
Premiere. Okay.
hold on, give me 10 seconds, all right? Yep.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Sure.
All right, sorry, mate.
No
Yeah.
worries. No worries. All right. Let me just.
So we use Adobe. I mean, it's an industry standard. Everybody's using it.
Yeah.
Final Cut is yesterday, so
Oh yeah, I know a few people who would use Final Cut more than Adobe. And I'm like, why don't you just they have the whole thing? They have like not only they have like Premiere and Audition and everything. So I'm more of an Adobe guy as well.
when it was FCP 7, everybody was on Final Cut Pro. But
Yeah.
the moment it went to X, everybody was like, nope. Yeah. I did it migrated to Adobe or DaVinci, so they like DaVinci Resolve, for example. Yeah.
Yeah, I know they have a free version, so I tried to do it. I tried that out, and then I go back to my original, which is Sony Vegas. That's normally the one that I would use back when I tried to do a YouTube channel, but I got too lazy. So, but that's a whole other story. All right. If you are ready, let me clap myself in, and also just need to check if I'm recording on all ends, and we are good. All right. Mr. Gary Chong, how are you doing? Welcome to the show.
Doing not too bad, not too shabby. Thanks for having me, Norman.
No worries. Now, I was given your bio by your co-founder, Joel. And first of all, it's a long bio, and not like in a bad way. You've done a lot of things, so I really want to uncover that before we get into the main, shall we say, juice of the conversation, which is Microfilm Academy. Before you can even create something like a Microfilm Academy, Gary, I know you've had a ton of experience in the world of film. So tell me, how did the world of film, or how did the concept of film enter your life? What is your origin story?
Origin story. Let's go, man.
Let's go.
Tell you what, I'm just gonna give you a really interesting story.
Go for
So
it.
I still remember I was 7 years of age, and I was an Ipoh boy, right, in a small little town of Ipoh. So my father used to bring me to the cinema once every week. It was a Thursday because that's when new movies would come out. And in Ipoh, they didn't really care about ratings, 18 SG, SX. Yeah, they didn't care about that, man. So my dad would bring me to the cinema every week. It could be a romance film, action film, horror film, whatever genre, I would watch it. Now, I remember distinctly every week, right, I would have different emotions while watching the films. For a horror film, I would be afraid. I would either cry or cover my face like this, when it came to an action film, I got really roused up, if it's a revenge flick, I just felt a range of emotions. One day, my dad asked me this question, son, do you realize that it's actually just a sheet? And I was like, well, what do you mean it's a sheet? In the cinema, then he brought me to the front and he let me see that literally it was a sheet. The screen was just a sheet. And if you hit behind the sheet, there's nothing there.
Yeah.
And he said, and right, that it's all fake, that the moment they say cut, the monsters actually come off their rubber suits and etc.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, I do know that. And he was like, so why are you still afraid? Why do you cry at a movie? Why do you laugh with a film? Why do you feel suspense and thrill? And at that moment, right, he planted a seed inside of me. And that was a fundamental question for my life. How in the world is this such a powerful medium? I know it's fake, I know it's fiction, but yet at the same time, it moves me in a way which is not, artsy fartsy avant-garde. It's literally moving me. And so I thought, that must be the most powerful medium in the world. And I grew up supposed to study law, but gave that up to pursue film. So I studied film in USM Penang, from the degree, went up to the master's, and I just love film. It just clicked. So that was origin story. Film just clicked. It was a language which, I didn't even have to learn. It was something which was a bit more natural. Then from there, I decided, instead of just consuming film, why not create films? And when I was I think it was about 24, 25 years old. It's about 10 years back, actually. So I started just doing short films in university. And my lecturer was like, hey, you know what? Why don't we just send these for like award submissions and stuff like that? So I think within 2 years, I had 18 awards to my name for short films.
Oh my God.
And yeah, but trust me, back at that time, right, it wasn't as competitive or glamorous per se. So now I remember distinctly. So how did I start my career was because one of the short film competitions, one of the judges was actually from a big MNC. And after the award presentation, he came up to me. He was like, hey, you know what? I like the way that you actually shot this car. Would you want to do a commercial for my car brand? And I was like, sure, man. And he was like, hey, the budget's not going to be too great. That's why I want to give it to you. And I'm like, yeah, how bad could it be? And he was like, okay, so it's about 85,000 ringgit for the budget. And in my mind you, I was a student at the time, and I was like, 85 grand. Yeah, sure, man, let's do it. And that's how it started, and it just progressed. Commercials, ad after ad campaigns from one MNC, and that was 10 years ago. From that first project I did, the video came out, or the ad came out, and then he shared it to his friends, and his friends were like, hey, why don't we get you to come and do our ads also? And that's when I was forced to actually open a company, because their finance department was like, if you don't have a legitimate company, we can't pay you more than 20,000 ringgit. So can you just go and scoot over to SSM and open any type of company? And that's the birth of Gary Chong Studios, which if you visit our website, you can see that we've done about 560 videos, I think, in the last 9 to 10 years. So yeah, that's a little bit about my film journey, man. Yeah.
There's a lot to unwind here. So we're going to take this bit by bit. First of all, 89,000 ringgit
I think it's
is
85. Yeah.
85,000 ringgit. So shall we say that's like 20 something thousand dollars if we convert it to USD. That's a lot of money for a film student already. Could you tell me, I'm not sure if you could even share this, but could you tell me what did you do with the budget? Like, was it a matter of what percentage is used for specific shots? Is there like a booking for looking? What's the process behind it?
So to be honest, because in filmmaking, we have pre-production, production, post-production. And when I went to film school, and this is the beautiful part of film school, people always think that, you know what, you don't have to go to film school. You just can learn the trade by going to the industry. And I totally agree with that. But the thing is this, and something I want to highlight, okay. You know, I think 90% of filmmakers would say like, you don't need to go to film school because, you know, what's the point? You can learn it from YouTube. You can just enter into a production house, pick up the trade. And that's true. But what you will not learn in the trade is basically how to think outside of the box. So at that point, the reason why you said it was going to be a bad budget was because, you know, if I were to subcon it to any other production house, they were probably going to use 70K, 75K of the budget as cost. But the thing is that when I went to film school, I learned about the French New Wave and how they used literally no budget because it was after World War II and all the films were actually converted to bombs and the economy was in tatters, but yet they could still pull off, you know, what a dolly shot was, what a track shot was, you know, using means of independent filmmaking at that time. So it was more of achieving a film look or a cinema in that sense, but without having to say this is the market rate. And I think that model has helped me throughout the years to really just grow. So yeah, but once again, that is how basically it is.
Okay, interesting. So I guess I could interpret a French New Wave to be some sort of independent, scrappy, direct film to get that cinematic look without the need for a large amounts of I guess influence budget-wise or, you know, great like other third-party factors coming in. Okay, that's interesting. I take it that you took that in to become an independent filmmaker
I think the philosophy behind it though, because more than anything, it's not about just technique, but it's really about the understanding of the philosophy behind it. Because filmmaking, one of the brilliant things about filmmaking is that it's a decision making like an industry. Basically, you have a problem, you need to come up with a solution. So if you are geared in a way where you're able to, you know, give proper solutions, of which later on we'll talk about Microfilm Academy. It's a solution-based thing.
Yeah.
So I think it's the philosophy and the spirit of cinema per se. Now, obviously, if you look at it from the other side of the coin, and the reason why I would know all of this and still refresh is because I also moonlight as a film lecturer at Taylor's Lakeside University. And the reason being because I always believe that you need to have one foot in academia, because whenever there are new techniques or new kind of thinking or mindsets, it's good to immerse yourself in an academic discourse because it would really help in applications of the real world. Yeah,
I highly agree with that. Especially when you're in a field where you are neck deep in the industry, but I guess taking back to what you said, it is another way of thinking outside the box, not only as someone who is doing the craft, but also if I were to try to articulate this to another, say a student who does not know as much as I do with all the films that I've done, how would I go about it? And I guess this opens up to new perspectives. Is there, has being a lecturer changed the way that you do your films in any way? Has it like influenced it in any way?
yeah. The methodology of which I approach not just filmmaking but even my clients, because in academics, be it whatever field of study, you realize that there's this word which they use, methodology, which is basically what is step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5. So in not just the filmmaking industry, I feel like in any industry, it could be F&B, it could be property or whatever not, people tend to follow trends. And when you start asking them, oh, but why do you do this like this? And they'll go like, because everybody's doing it. Or the thing which I really hate the most, oh, but that's the market rate, or that's how the market does it, which I feel is nonsensical, because if Mark Zuckerberg followed the market rate or how things should have been done, he wouldn't have started Facebook. And you have all these big icons in the world who went against the grain. So why is it then that everybody is still stuck within but no, we have to do it in this way because this is the proper way of doing it. So I'll give you an example, 2 examples based on your question. So number 1 would be, I bet you've heard of this thing called storyboarding. Yeah. Putting things into like a little comic strip, and that would actually be your, that's your storyboard. So because most of my clients are actually, MNCs or corporations. Now, these guys have no inclination about filmmaking, no inclination about the creative process. All they know is that, hey, I have X amount of ringgit for my budget. I need to get it out. If not, management is going to burn that budget. So I need to use it anyway, and I need to get this core messaging out. Now, if I'm going to draw a storyboard, now I have to understand that as the university or academia has actually trained me. If I'm going to go to them and say, you know what, I don't care. Here's a storyboard. Here's a comic strip. Bring it to your boss and convince him to part ways with 6 figures of a budget. Go. He's gonna, the person is gonna go like, okay, all right, this is how it's done. This is how it's done. No. So what I do instead is that I actually provide a visual reference or a few visual references. Option A, option B, option C. And what's with a visual reference? Because in a storyboard comic strip, you don't have the music, you don't have the vibe, you don't have the pacing of the edit, you don't have the colors coming out, you don't have basically the soul of the final product. So using a visual reference, passing it there, then all this guy has to do right now in terms of the branding or marketing team, bring it to the big boss and say, okay, the final video is going to look like this. How do you feel? And many a times, the big boss will go like, oh yeah, this is great. Yes, we'll choose option B. Let's just go with it. And that becomes the spine of how we actually build something. But, people I know, not just in the industry, but a lot of, artistic people would frown upon it. It's like, no, that's not the way to do it. Once again, who said so? And even if that person said so, put him with a multinational client who is a bank, for example, or a telco, and, how is it gonna work? And so even coming back to, okay, that was the client, like I was saying, and then give you an example of, what about the creative process? Like I gave you an example. Now today we have a program called Cine Tracer, which we kind of use in the studio also. If you've ever played an Unreal Engine PS4 game or PC game, and think of it like Minecraft, but with an Unreal Engine, and you're able to create sets with lighting and creating the props and positioning people and stuff like that. So technology is there, but if you don't adapt to it, then you're always going to be that guy who's like, oh no, this is not the way it is. This is a dilution of the art. So yeah, examples.
I love the pretentious voice impression of dilution of the art. As a lecturer, then, now that you have this example where you had to go against the grain to convince someone outside of the industry to part ways with 6 figures of, their budget, is it difficult trying to teach that to your students when they're in an environment when they are expected to go and follow the curriculum, but you as a lecturer have responsibility in teaching them not only what is on paper, but also what is on the field, which is what you have firsthand experience with? Maybe it's a very difficult question to answer, but I'm just curious, what are some of the barriers in trying to teach your students things like this?
All right. I think as a lecturer, the main job that I have is to connect the dots for the students. Now, I'm not saying handing them information on a silver platter, or I'm empowering them. Now, why do I connect the dots? Because they don't know the dots. That's the issue. Yeah. They just know the end destination. I think it's down to every student where you know that, okay, at the end of this entire thing, you're going to get a degree or you're going to get some form of acknowledgement of your efforts. But the question is that, okay, what is the dot from here to here to here to here to here to here to here? They don't know that.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I think a majority of people, once they graduate, when you ask them, hey, so when you studied, what were the dots? And they'll go like, hey, man, I don't know. and that's a problem. But having said that, right, just to pivot a little bit from your question and circle back, but when you see a lot of adults, I feel it's like a very funny cycle. Because once adults reach their late 30s, early 40s, all of a sudden they're reading every day. Because Richard Branson told them, read a book every single day. Or, Tony Robbins is like, you read a book, just read a book, and they'll have all these kind of videos where it's like, oh, read a book.
Yeah.
But as a student, all you had to do was literally read books. So connect the dots. Coming back to as a lecturer,
Yes.
is it tough? I don't think so, because it's the art of communication, isn't it? If I can connect the dots for you from here to here and what's effective, that's good enough. Now, it's your choice then whether to change your mindset or not. To be very honest, right, I'm not lecturing for the money, because it's really more of my, I like to call it my service to the nation in that sense, because it's a good pocket money change at the side, but to be honest, it's really about impacting the students. And I have so many students who, it's my 9th year lecturing. I have students who are now DPs in LA, they're directors of photographies in LA. Even some of them are YouTubers in Malaysia. Like the current DP for Genie Boy TV, Ryan, was my student. And so a lot of agency people now also were my students. But basically, it's really imbuing that mindset. Hey, you don't have to follow the status quo. You don't have to be part of the herd mentality. Yeah, but break out and you do you, technically. Yeah.
I like that. I really like that. You go out of your own way to help someone break away from, like you said, herd mentality. But not only that, take a step further and say, hey, pursue your own version of what a film career would be, or how their interpretation of film can impact them, make the most of that. And I do agree that contributing back to, well, not only the medium, but maybe the field or the industry that you are part of is one way of not only a form of, shall we say, gratitude, but also it does give you dividends. Not only money-wise, we don't really care about the money. We're not talking about the money right now, but more like on who you are as a person in terms of character. And now that we have an amazing, shall we say, a really good summary, I wouldn't call it a summary because you're still creating many more videos, films, all the way until now. You are giving back to the community of film in many different ways. And one of them is, well, so we get it called Microfilm Academy. Can you break down the name for me? What is a Microfilm Academy? What is microfilm?
All right. Okay. So to break down what is microfilm, it is not the future, it is now. Basically, the Microfilm Academy, we believe totally that this little device right now, a smartphone, is not just meant for consumption in the front, but you turn it around and it's meant for creation. Okay, let me give you a little bit of a backstory as to how this entire thing started, so you can actually see that, all right? So, okay, I want to ask you, Norman, like, do you realize, do you have any nephews, nieces, or any kids around you in your life? Yeah?
Yeah. What a great coincidence you asked this. I got a WhatsApp message from my mom like an hour ago. My cousin's son was just born. So,
oh, wow.
Yeah. So, I do have nephews. Indeed.
Oh, that's super interesting. All right. And you realize that whenever you hang out with children, or you wouldn't even say children, like teenagers, youth, kids nowadays, you realize that they're always on their phone just watching something.
Yeah.
Different age groups have different kind of, consumption patterns, right?
Yes.
So you have children who watch Peppa Pig, Paw Patrol, Blippi, and all these stuff. And if you're a bit older, you're down on Instagram or YouTube videos, Facebook, whatever not. So the question is this, okay, now that's on one side, and I just want to paint that thing on one side, all right?
Yeah.
So what happened when I started seeing this, and I discussed with my co-founders, Adrian and also Joel, I was like, hey guys, you know what? there's a huge disconnect. Why? There's this problem here with kids. Then at the same time, I'm looking at SMEs and businesses. And, like I go for the MNCs, I go for the corporations who have to burn their budgets anyway. So thank you so much. That's how, I have built my wealth and etc. But I'm talking about the, coffee shop down the road, right? Which, started by two friends who have little to no savings. So how then do they afford to make videos? Why can't they just use their phone and shoot it? And to be honest, right, if it was so easy, every single person would have been doing it, and we would have a flood of businesses shooting their own stuff. But it doesn't happen. So that's the reality of things. Then on the other side, we have Samsung, we have Apple, showing off, right, how great the hardware and software is. And I'm going to give you some proof. If you hit the Netflix right now, there is a movie playing called High Flying Bird. Now that movie was directed by Steven Soderbergh, who did Ocean's 11. Okay, so very popular director. He shot the entire film on an iPhone 8. So the thing is that when you watch the trailer, you can't believe it's all shot on one single iPhone. And bro, we're not talking about iPhone X, the XS, or the 11. We're talking about the simple iPhone 8. So an entire feature film shot in an iPhone 8. And I bet you would also be seeing this when the iPhone 11 came out. There was a ton of short films which rolled out that people were like, oh man, it's cinematic, it's amazing, wonderful. We see millions of ringgit being put into banners and stuff talking about how great the cameras are in terms of the hardware and the software. So now we have the hardware and software to not just shoot, but edit an entire film here. But at the same time, we have this problem statement here. So why is it that from here, we are not connecting the dots to each here? Why are people not adopting it as what it should be outside of doing TikTok videos or, the odd selfie or Insta Live? Because the education is missing. Because when you look at education in any sphere, this is what happens. There are the film schools like Taylor's Lakeside, of which I am lecturing in, which says that, hey, you know what? You have to go through the entire program. You have to understand film with its nuances and etc. Then you have, I don't want to mince my words, but I feel like these are media practitioners who are out for a quick buck. Let me teach you how to use smartphones to do filmmaking. Yay, wonderful. It's easy, which is good. But the problem I feel, and there's a huge gap, a vacuum even in the education sector, is that, hey, if I'm a business and I run a coffee shop, like I don't want to just learn how to shoot with a smartphone, because I can learn how to shoot, but how do I apply that to help my business? And if I'm a child, and if I'm a parent of a child right now, I can send my kids to ballet. I can send them to piano classes. I can send them to coding classes. Great, wonderful. But I want to ask you a question. Norman, did you grow up learning the piano or any type of co-curricular thing which your parents put you through? Yeah.
What my parents put me through, I learned instrumental guitar, so classical guitar. That is definitely one thing that I took.
All right.
Yeah.
Great, wonderful. Today, are you a classical guitarist in the Philharmonic?
No, I am not. No, I'm a hobbyist. I do play it still, but it is only for my own, shall we say, my own desire to play it. So, yeah.
Great, wonderful. And this is the thing though, it's not just you. 99.9% of the people out there who are learning classical guitar or any kind of rock school or Yamaha exam or whatever not, yes, they get a degree. They might even not just be in grade 8 in a diploma setting. What do after that? They just teach. And, there's only a very small percentile which can actually use this to make a living for themselves. But let me bring you to an alternate route. If you, Norman, studied classical guitar at a young age, and let's just call this person Paul, and Paul took the MFA program, grade 1 to grade 8, in terms of a filmmaking course, and you grow up together. Now, when it comes to time for you to go into university, you get a job, okay, you can play your guitar. I mean, I'm not putting down the classical guitar, by the way. I'm just doing a comparison. Yeah.
Yeah.
You can play your guitar, and basically whoever is gonna be on the other side watching you play the guitar will go like, oh, okay, that's great. You can play the guitar. Or you get this guy, Paul, who gets to shoot, and he knows how to shoot a 1-minute biopic of himself instead of doing an interview and sends universities, and the university admissions office receives that and sees in 60 seconds who is Paul. Immediately, there's value proposition. And let's talk about jobs. Imagine if you are in any job, could be banking, could be telcos, could be even selling cars. But you tell your boss, I have an extra ability where I'm able to shoot videos, create films, all using this smartphone, boss. And I can create an unlimited amount of content every single day, for you. That's value proposition. Can you give me a raise? What is your boss going to say? The budget for that freelance videographer, I'm going to give it to you because I can dictate how many videos you can do, and because I don't have to wait for footage, etc. So now that person's life has changed. But let's talk even then about the businesses. Let me give you an example of, I said the coffee shop down the road, right?
Yeah.
So if every business, every SME, we have our own pain points and challenges. And I and the MFA honestly feel that video, especially in micro filmmaking, is able to plug in all these challenges. So let me give you a little bit of an example. Now, you might think when we talk about micro filmmaking, it's only about marketing, getting promos out there. Yeah, that's true. But what about the other side of things? In an F&B outlet, could be anything, coffee shop, steakhouse, whatever. You have to train people, right? Step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5. And it takes a week, it takes 2 weeks to train new staff. My question is that if you want to teach a new staff how to actually make coffee, and according to the SOPs and protocols of your establishment, why don't you just shoot step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5, put it on an inter-WhatsApp group, and they can always refer to it first. And even the more experienced baristas can go, wait a minute, how many ounces was that skim milk again? Let me whip out my phone. Oh, yeah. This is how it is, right? Now, then you would free up the business owner for that 1 to 2 weeks. Instead of training, he can then develop his business in so many other ways, like getting on a call with Norman Chella.
Got to say that's quite a large value proposition if you're on a call with me. But I see your point. It's great because it does take away resources, time, and effort from manually trying to say train your employees when you could just send them maybe like a shared Google Drive full of videos where it's like, hey, this is how you do this is how you do that, this is how you do this. You can automate a lot of that, especially for a lot of the logistics concerning trying to bring people in. So you said way beyond marketing, like there are also other parts of, say, a business way beyond marketing. I'm seeing like a couple of other things, say, on your website. There's like testimonials as well. So I guess another way to, shall we say, humanize the business?
Yes.
Film
indeed.
is definitely the best medium for that because you have all the nonverbal cues, the audio and the video, and maybe I'm not sure text-wise, but still the entirety of a film. You can put a face, right, to the interactions between the business. So I can see how that is useful. Are there any? No, I wouldn't call it backlash, but when you were trying to pitch this to companies or businesses or SMEs, did they have any worries about trying to dive into microfilm?
Oh no, man! They were actually really, into it. Okay, so just let you know how we operate.
Oh, yeah.
So we actually have 2 products within MFA SME, because MFA actually has 2 divisions: the SME and the children's education. So let's put children's education aside for a moment, all right? Let's talk about SME. So within SME, we have 2 products. One, we call it the Come to Us workshop, and number 2, the Go to You workshop. Now, the Come to Us workshop is basically, once again, F&B. We take F&B, but you must only fall within the pocket of the F&B industry. Meaning, if you are a self-made owner of a kind of a smaller establishment, you don't own a franchise, or you're not like a Starbucks or McDonald's, because that's F&B too, right? That's a huge industry. So just that small pocket where you are a small community owner, neighborhood, you probably put in about 300,000 ringgit. So, there are certain demographics which fit together. And you come for our Come to Us workshops, just 2 days, 2 full days. And we will teach you from A to Z. And we will even brainstorm with you, okay, what are your pain points? And your pain points, because we put an industry which you guys are so close into, you will have 5 pain points, which it will be the same thing. It could be in different variations, but at its core, it's the same thing. And from these 5, we'll give you 5 templates of videos to put it as solutions. And you will write a script, you will produce and shoot that video, and you'll edit the video in the 2 days. And at the end, when your red carpet time comes about, you can have a video for yourself, but you can bring it back and you can shoot 365 videos a year, or even more so than that. Okay. The second product is the Go to You workshop. So imagine if right now you're an insurance firm and you go like, hey, you know what? All the products of my insurance agency is the same, but people don't understand the value that our team can bring out there because we do this. Hey, why don't we come over to you, analyze your business model, and see how can we create your signature style of videos? So there are plenty of problem statements, and every single one of them microfilm can actually solve. And why do we use the term microfilm? Because, you know, film, once again, also it's the industry has a huge spectrum, right? Feature films, you have commercials, but microfilms are basically, you know, it doesn't matter whether it's 3 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 seconds. See, that's the beauty of it. It's up to you. And what we do, we come in as kind of a consultant base where we don't just teach you, we empower you. And we even have a follow-up service after that to make sure that you're on the right track. And, you know, this is one interesting thing that I think everybody's trying to do right now. Everybody wants to be a point of authority of something. And if I'm going to do, I mean, this is a bit of advertising speak, but if right now I say chocolate drink, Norman, what do you think? Like any
Milo?
Chocolate drink, what? Correct. Yes, Milo. Exactly. You can brain fart it out, and it's an association there. Now, if you say feng shui in Malaysia, Norman, just brain fart it. What comes to your mind?
I can't think of a brand like red. Like there's
a person. Like a person.
Oh,
like
a person.
person.
Oh God. Yeah, I don't know much about feng shui, so I can't really tell. The only thing I know is that you can't have the mirror facing you or something like that, or something about it facing east.
No, but have you heard of Joey Yep, for example?
Oh yes, I have. Yeah, I have.
Right? Yeah. So now this is the thing. When you brain fart stuff out, right? It's because over time you would have seen something in, you know, an ancillary space, meaning you watch a video of his, you watch an interview or a vlog or whatever it is, and all of a sudden, right, feng shui, I only know Joey Yap, that's it. I don't know what he does. I might not even know how he looks like, but I know his name, correct? So my question is that, hey, if you're an insurance guy, or even if you're a property guy, right? Like, I don't know about you, but when people say, okay, brain fart, insurance guy, go in Malaysia, I'll be like, wow, okay, that's a tough one. Now, so that's what I'm trying to say. The space is that there's just so much space to be dominated, you see. And to be honest, right, if you're gonna get a freelancer, or you're gonna get a videography team, or you're gonna get a campaign team, it's gonna cost you a lot of money. And you know, like Gary Vaynerchuk, or Gary V famously said, you know, he shot like 200 episodes of his wine show before he got any traction. So, I mean, yes, you can go down that route, but well, if you don't have parents who are money bags, you know, or you don't have a huge family business to propel you forward, then why don't you just use something which is in your pocket?
I see. It's the accessibility is probably one of the biggest advantages here, because you most likely have a smartphone in your pocket, or a tablet, or, you know, a device with a camera, or maybe if you have a spare camera lying around, which I do. But for the average person or business owner, or maybe someone who wants to, taking back to the example where you have someone trying to start a career, they could make a video in conjunction with them starting their career as a graduate at uni or something like that. They can stand out already because they're using what they are using in their pocket, which is fascinating.
Correct.
I want to jump ship to the children's education aspect as well, because I think I want to know about why you decided to do that as well as the SME thing. So could you tell me, how is the program different for teaching children, and is there anything hard about doing that in the first place?
Okay, great. Thank you, man. That was a great question, actually. So difference with children? Well, the thing is this: when we're targeting children, are we really targeting children, or are we targeting the parents of children?
Mm, yeah.
Because this thing, let me give you a little bit of a walkthrough also. All right. So if Norman, imagine for a moment you and I are parents, and we have two children each. Okay, I have two daughters, and you have one daughter and one son,
Mm.
and we're sitting over tea, and we're just having a discussion, and you know, and we talk about not just the tuition, but we talk about what are some of the activities which we let our kids do. And I tell you, do you know what, Norman? It was Father's Day last week, and my son and daughter, my two daughters actually um, had an assignment in their MFA thing where they had to shoot a 2-minute Father's Day video. My gosh, I feel so loved, and I'm so proud of them.
As
You
a
know what?
parent listening, I would probably either feel FOMO, or I would at the very least, be intrigued as to why maybe as a parent you're letting your kids learn about film, or go to a course about film, or go to MFA. So yeah, keep going, keep going. What else? What else should I know?
So then after that, then you knew Norman will kind of be like, really? Oh, that's great. Can I see the videos? And I let you watch it. Whether it's great or not, it doesn't matter. I am a proud father.
Yeah.
Then I tell it to you some more. Do you know what? Yeah, last month we went to Switzerland. And Norman, you'll say like, yeah, I mean, yeah, I saw the Facebook photos. Did you know that their class assignment during MFA was to shoot, right, a vlog documenting the trip? And oh my gosh, check this out. So now, if fast forward to the night, and all of a sudden every parent is a freaking competitive Asian parent, and because you learn classical guitar, you're gonna, let your kids learn classical guitar or classical piano, and they're gonna take a guitar and piano, and you're gonna do a duet, right? And all of a sudden, when it's my kid's turn, I'm gonna say like, you know what? Let's show them how our Switzerland trip was. And all of a sudden, they are playing this awesome travelogue video where my daughter, a 7-year-old girl, is going like, now we are in Switzerland. Oh my gosh, that's a horse, daddy. Nobody knows,
Yeah.
right? And at the same time, they learn because, okay, I mean, I'm just giving you excerpts from our syllabus, but these are real world tangible assignments which we are going to be giving. And at the same time, right, they will have to learn. For example, when we watch their Switzerland video, we're going to ask them, okay, so can you do a little bit of a documentary from your Switzerland travel vlog about the food in Switzerland? What is Swiss food? So they have to go and research. All of this, by the way, it was developed by my co-founder, who is a lecturer for many, many years, senior lecturer from Australia to a local university, and now to one of the top private universities in Malaysia. And basically, right, we've spent not just days, months, but wow, it's like a huge amount of time just developing syllabuses like this. So that's what I'm trying to get at. And people are talking about IR 4.0. People are talking about, the digital age. Why are we not equipping our children with this? Is something which I don't understand. Yes, we can jump on digital platforms, but hey, man, this is total digitalization. So, I don't know about you, but if the culture of my children to create something and stimulate their brains and develop and be more inquisitive and critical, rather than just be, I just want to watch cartoons on my phone, and if not, I'm going to cry, which is the reality of things now, isn't it?
Yeah, as you can mainly observe in a large percentage of, well, younger generations who are probably subject to these addicting devices, because let's face it, smartphones are incredibly addicting. They are designed to be so. But and that's what's fascinating about this children's education program, is that you are changing the definition that a kid would have of a smartphone, from something to consume to something that they can create with. And I guess
Yeah.
it's like the closest parallel thing I can think of is, I guess when we were young kids, we would have paper and crayons, and we'd be drawing like all kinds of things. And that's, a large self-expression of ourselves. And it's an attempt at us exploring the images in us and observing the things around us. But like you said, we're approaching IR 4.0. Well, it's more or less now, and we have to prepare for it. Uh, as shall we say, hypothetical parents to be able to prepare our kids for that eventual IR 4.0, to redefine the usage of the smartphone from something that you can just watch cartoons from to something that you can say, hey, uh, I want to grow up as a kid creating things just like how I would drawing interesting. I mean, they look bad, but it's fun. We like them. We're parents, that sort of thing on paper. But to create film that way, I think that's probably the largest selling point I see. I would look at it more. I would look at that microfilm program more as like a growth course, right? Like more like a how to teach your kids to be creators, not consumers.
Yes,
That sort of
correct.
probably the underlying thing. And I guess your partner, the senior lecturer, would have a lot to say about that. I'm sure he would have tons uh, to do to have a perspective to share his perspective. Maybe I can ask him sometime
Yeah, you
on.
should, man.
Yeah.
Bring him on the show.
I can run. Of course, if you could just introduce me, I can probably just reach out to him. But on the note of IRA 4.0, so to clarify, we are talking about the Industrial Revolution 4.0, right?
Correct.
For the sake of our dear friends, the audience, and the listeners, could you? I'm going to play the full and ask you, what is IR 4.0? Why should I care?
All right. Okay. Now, human progress our modern day human progress has actually gone through a few series of industrial revolutions. All right. So, if you study history, you'll know that there are different seasons and different ages of a humankind, which actually propelled forward because of different industries. Now, IR 4.0 revolves very much on the digital side of things because of the boom of the internet. It has created kind of a pseudo matrix kind of world. We can't live without the internet, right? And the situation that we're in this year, 2020, with COVID-19, Malaysian MCO, and also various lockdowns, quarantines all around the world, we are not just encouraged, we are actually forced to enter into the digital sphere. Yeah, and when we enter into the digital sphere, even having this conversation that you're watching right now, that's being recorded over a digital sphere, that is going to, this is a time where we are not just at the infancy, we are pushed off the cliff. So as it gains momentum, being pushed off the cliff, it becomes an avalanche. You wouldn't want to be one of those people where you turn around and you go like, wait a minute, what happened? So IR 4.0 really is about a push into the digital space in so many variations, from e-commerce to e-learning to e-whatever. That is IR 4.0. So yeah, there you have it in a not so academic definition, but just to break it down.
Of course, we can definitely do a huge deep dive on RA 4.0, and I'm a huge nerd on that aspect. I would read up about it once in a while. So, and one accessible and not so, shall we say, intimidating way is to learn about creation, like through films, through using the device that you already have right now, which is evidence of IR 4.0. Like it's actual, like physical evidence. Like this is the thing that I'll be revolving my life around, or my day-to-day routine around this smartphone in my pocket. So will my kids go through that same experience, or would I want to provide them, shall we say, a more enriching, greater opportunity for self-development, for growth, to mature into creators, as opposed to the sheep that follow trends, like you would say. Is there, let's say, other than the MFA program, is there any advice you would like to give to those who are now a little bit more aware of IR 4.0? How can we better prepare for it?
All right. I think the first thing we need to do is break our mindsets. I always believe in the breaking of status quo, not because of the love of chaos, but really because what is status quo in the first place, right? This is how things are supposed to be. This is how things were, is, and will be. That mentality, it's a comforting thought, because although the human brain is flexible, but it gives us a sort of comfort zone that we're in. I think the advice that I would like to give is break out of the comfort zone. Okay, I mean, to plug it a little bit back, if you're a parent, I think it's your responsibility to to really equip or give a platform for your kids to really maximize their not just learning curve, but development in this IR 4.0 kind of situation. But for yourself also, as you can see, I think there's a lot of smack being talked about TikTokers, Instagrammers, YouTubers. No, I highly admire them. Can I be them? Well, maybe not because of the personality sphere which I have, but the fact is that I salute them and admire them for taking that step forward. And so every time there is a sort of hate being given or critique or criticism, I think just to put it out there, maybe it's more of a mirror of the inadequacies of oneself, that we are not willing to change and pivot. Well, try. If you don't try, you'll never know. So yeah.
And if you don't try, you'll never know. And if you don't try, it will be too late once you have realized that you're falling behind, especially in changing times, which are being accelerated by this outbreak. Though I know that talking about such a large shock event like that would be a little bit bleak, but it is also a chance for opportunity. So I really do respect that you are basically helping others accelerate their growth through film, which is pretty awesome. Like, I mean, it would be something that I would totally watch all the time. Now, Gary, I have two small segments near the end of this chat for you. One is called mementos. So could you tell me, do you have a memento that you either carry around with you or you have in your house that represents who you are?
Wow. Okay, that's a very interesting question, which I didn't, foresee. Okay, so it's a memento. It's a little bit of a memory trinket, right?
Sure.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Well, I would reckon it's my wedding ring, because if I don't bring it around, my wife will kill me. So yeah, let's stick it with that. If she's gonna watch this, I think that would be not just a safe answer. I mean, what's the point of not going into IR 4.0 and everything if I'm not alive tomorrow, right? Yeah. So
Oh, yes. Big tip. Please stay alive for IR 4.0. Things are going to be really exciting. So, all right,
yeah.
cool. Yes. Wedding ring. Indeed, a great memento. And the other segment would be something what I call walk away wisdom. So, say that we walk away from this conversation right now and I connect with someone, I interact with somebody, and I get to know them and we become friends and become more intimate. And I share with them a part of my life. And part of my life is this conversation right now. Is there a piece of wisdom that I could tell them that represents who you are?
All right. Everybody's a filmmaker. Everybody, 7 billion people on the planet, 7 billion filmmakers all around, because everybody has a voice, everybody has their own story, everybody has their own background, everybody has something to say which can move another person. All we need to do is understand that film is not difficult. Film is merely a medium. Like painting, like writing, like dancing, whatever it is, everybody's a filmmaker. So I think the advice that probably you could tell that person that you're going to bump into is that, you know what, break the mindset that you're not a filmmaker and just do it, man.
And of course, an emphasis on the maker part of filmmaker. And since film is, well, one of the best mediums ever to exist, where it has all the cues, it has all the different ranges of emotion that we can feel as we experience it. I'm sure that, Gary, you on this journey to teach other people about the world of film, as well as through Microfilm Academy and us on your responsibility as a lecturer. I wish you all the best on that, and I will always be the one to share that kind of wisdom with everybody I know. Now, Gary, if our listeners would like to reach out to you for more about film, about microfilm, and anything else, how do we do that? How do we reach out to you?
All right, great. So we have a website called microfilmacademy.com. All right, or you can reach out to our Facebook or Instagram pages, Microfilm Academy, of which then if you'd like to reach out to either myself, Adrian, or Joel, who are the founders, yeah, just drop us a message, man. And, our team will actually relay to us any queries that you might have, whether you're an SME or whether you're a parent with a child who now you feel the responsibility to kind of push them into, a more future-proof environment.
Yeah.
Microfilm Academy.
And always on a journey to future-proof ourselves as well as our children. It'll be very good. And you can always reach out to Gary for that. Links to all the social media for Microfilm Academy, as well as the website itself, will be in the show notes to this episode. Gary, thank you so much, and I'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Norman, for having me. All right, ciao, ciao.
All right. Thank you so much. Oh, that was a great conversation, man. Thanks.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me.
All right. Gary, do you have any questions or anything you want to say? Or if you're worried about something, is there something that you want to opt out or edit out?
Yeah, no, I'm fine. I'm pretty fine with everything. But I just want to ask, like, where would this actually be? Like, where are you going to publish this segment? Yeah.
Sure. So, although this is a video call, this is a podcast, so I will not be using the video footage.
Sure.
I can pass you a backup of the conversation if you want. So how this will work is that I'll do post edits on the episode and I'll release it on a show called Anti-Fool, and it'll be distributed through all the major audio platforms. So we're talking Apple Podcasts, Spotify. It'll be on my main website, which is that'sthenorm.com. And I will link you all of those links. If you have a preferred, like an audio player link, you could just let me know. I can always just pass it to you directly. I can provide you the copy for social media in case you just want to copy paste that. And links to the full blog post with timestamps, links mentioned, and a summary of what the episode will be about. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Let me know if you have any like preference.
Awesome, man. Thanks, Norman. Yeah, I mean, you can just send us all the links once you edit it. But could I get a copy of this particular con call, because we would like to just put it on our social media pages. Tell us who we're gonna tag it. Yeah, to either yourself or whatever link that you want us to tag it to, because I just want to have a bit more content, a diversity of content, on our social media pages. So that's the reason why. Yeah.
Sure. So the video call, right? The full video, or like the full set, like video, audio, and then all the channels, all the separate.
Full set would be great. Yeah. So around when will that be coming out? Yeah, just so that I can tell Joel also. Yeah.
Wait, give me a sec. Give me a full set. Let me just bring up the content calendar. If we are on number 3, I am thinking around 3 weeks from now, which is the end of April. So
okay,
I can immediately give you the copy of all the copy like now after this call, of course. Just the episode itself, like the fully published one, will be by end of April, if that's okay.
Yeah, you can pass me the copy first, and then from there, you can pass it to Joel actually, because he's in charge of all the kind of external communications. So sure. Yeah, pass him the copy straight, so that tomorrow we can kind of like we won't. I think we won't like tag you yet, because you're not releasing the full thing on any of your sites yet in 3 weeks. So we'll wait for that in 3 weeks, but we'll just have a copy for ourselves. Is that all right? Yeah.
That's okay. Yeah, that's perfectly fine. You can do whatever you want with the copy, really. It's just a backup for me. I already have the audio tracks, so that's perfectly fine. What I can do is, after I send you the copy, I'll just keep you updated on when the actual final thing will be up, and I'll give you all the links for that. So yeah.
All right, great. Thanks so much, man. Seriously.
Oh, yeah. Okay, cool. And if anything else, I am an email away, so you should just message me, mostly on email, LinkedIn, Twitter. So if you have any questions, anything you want to know podcasting wise, or on my side or anything, yeah, just let me know. I'm always up for it.
Thanks so much, man. Yeah.
All right. Okay.
Have a good evening.
Right.
Ciao, buddy.
Yeah. Bye.